All right. Hello, hello, hello. I'm back again. My goodness. So we're going to paint a painting that I did a while ago of the big old tree. It's a big cedar tree that we actually had in our yard. I have a 16 by 20 inch canvas, black gessoed, and I put a little bit, again, of our trusty old refined linseed oil on there. Can't talk. And then that's all we don't need any color on there. You could always put a green if you wanted to, but for me, I don't do anything. I'm just going to grab a palette knife now. Grab my old trusty guitar palette knife or guitar repair palette knife. Man, I'm going to grab some Van Dyke Brown or burn umber, whatever you have there. I think I have Van Dyke Brown out today, and it's super easy painting, but everybody likes this one. So I'm just thinking about a big old tree, and I'm just going to smear some paint on here. Okay, pretty much right in the middle. That breaks all the rules, doesn't it? And wherever it stops down here is fine, because we'll corral it at the end here. Yeah, there we go. We got that on there. And then what I want to do is I want to take a little bit of white, and I'll show you just a tiny little bit of white. Tiny little bit of white. A little bit of burnt sienna and a little bit of the dark color. And so we got two browns. We got a red brown and a dark brown. And then just back in here, I'm going to take the knife. See how I got it loaded there with a little roll of paint, just like you would if you did a mountain. I'm going to take and just run some little indications of some trees up through here. I don't know, they don't have to go all the way up if we don't want to. This is going to look odd until we actually do some things with it. Oh, that's too big. I did not intend to do that one. Let's blend that one out. Woo! Alright. Cavalry's coming here. We'll grab a little brush here and just put this one back in the canvas a little bit. I can't wait to get white on that. Let me get a little linseed oil. There, fixing things on the fly. I did not intend for that to happen. But that's okay. I won't edit them mistakes out. There. Boom. Paper out. Don't let your knife go too crazy like I just did. Let's grab a little more paint here. Alright, there we go. I like that lighter color anyway. I want to change the color anyway. Oh, we got maybe run that up through there. Some of them are a little darker, some of them maybe don't go all the way up, who knows. We don't need a ton of these. You'll see what we do with these here in a little bit. Probably didn't need that one. A few like this, just wherever. Yeah, that'll work. And then let's work on the trunk so everybody knows what we're painting. Because if you tuned in and this was on the screen, you'd probably be like, I'm going to skip that video. That's not very good. I don't want to watch this guy paint. So I'm going to grab some dark brown, some red brown, and again, whatever colors you have will work. As long as you got two different browns there. And I'm going to get a little roll of paint. I really like that red brown too. I'm going to take that knife and just kind of let this float down this canvas. Just like this. See that? I'm just letting I'm letting the canvas take what it wants. And that's one way of doing it. A lot of people don't like this way of doing it. You can also do it this way, guys, if it's as easier on you. You can kind of place that where you want it. Okay? So I know my tree's going to come down like this, probably. Something like that. It's going to be a big old tree. If you follow me, you probably have seen that painting of the big old tree. And I actually did this in a workshop not too long ago. It turned out really well. Everybody did so well on it. Only thing I would say is people worry so much about one tree. We can paint tons of trees. We tell people to paint just one. Woo, it takes them a minute. Like what? But I guess these count as trees too, really, if you think about it. They're back there in the forest. The original of this, I had an old black canvas sitting up here. Here comes the river in here to join us. On my shelf, and it had dust all over it. I was like, I'm going to throw that away. No, I'll sit down here and put a tree on it. Boy, I'm glad I did. So I'm going to take, I got viridian green out. You could use phthalo green if you have it. I'm going to take a little bit of that, and a little bit of white, and a little bit of our brown color. That'll muddy that green up. Look at that. Almost a minty green now. And I just want to come over here on the back side and kind of do the same thing. Just going to let that knife just kind of float down through there. And again, we're going to mess around with this, so it really won't matter what it looks like for now. I'm just trying to get a little basic idea of the tree in here. There we go. Something like that. Like that. That'll get us started. And we'll work on that trunk. I just wanted the trunk in there to make sure everything is looking good. Let's see what we got on our camera here real quick. Yeah, looking pretty good. Pretty good. All right, I just adjusted the camera view a little bit. Get a little better view in there. Okay, so again, that's just a start. Now, I'm going to go and I'll just show you a little bit of preview of what we'll do later on. Take a little more reddish brown than the dark brown here. I really like that red color. And we'll just kind of come back in here and piece this thing back all together and bring out some nice little details on the trunk. On this side, we'll like use a lot of white with just a little bit of brown in it and really make this side of the old tree kind of pop. Right, kind of like that. And we want it pretty big, It's going to have roots down here. We'll have roots kind of going out of it like this, so we're nowhere near finished with the trunk. I just wanted everybody not to freak out if you saw it like that. Just corral that a little bit. There we go. Ooh, I like that little bump in it. Look at that. Oh, it's not so straight. And then we'll put some dark back in the middle. But for now, that'll get us going. So what we'll do next is we'll take a little bit of paint thinner I've got here. A little bit of, I always call it paint thinner, but I'm using mineral spirits. Chemically, just a little different. A little more refined as far as I know. One of those things I never really cared about, knowing exactly what's going on with it. So I'm going to take just a little bit of this and a little bit of the brownish, lightish brown color that we have laying around. And we'll start thinking about some limbs off of this old guy here real quick. Look at that. And this is my script liner I'm using. It's just such a wonderful little brush. Get you a long script liner. Now I still have some uses for the thinner ones. I'm sorry, the shorter ones. But these longer ones, you can just paint all day with them without really having to worry about it. And I'm going to switch. I'm not going to use mineral spirits. That's why I had linseed oil out really, because again, I painted pretty much the painting with a dry canvas before. I put a little bit on there so nobody would freak out when they saw dry canvas. But I just want to put a few up here and get this started. And as I'm thinking about it, I want this tree to almost act like it starts kind of confined to the top a little bit, and then as we come down here, pretty much will go off that edge over there, a limb or two. You can also, as your brush starts running out of paint, you can decide maybe there's a few little things back in here that are just, they don't go all the way up, and this may be easier for people that don't like to use a palette knife. And then you can also really easily say, there's some little limbs off of these guys. Just a few of them. Don't do too many, and don't do too many of these near the tree, because it will take away from the actual tree that we're working on, the big one. We want that one to be the star of the show, not these little guys back here. Maybe this one has a limb or two just kind of hanging out of it. There we go. And then we're actually, before I get too far ahead here, I'm going to show you another thing that I do here on this painting. Again, you can do this little scene here with any kind of tree. And I actually got another couple of trees I'm going to do. Just using a black canvas, no paint on it. Just what you see. Just a dark scene. If you wanted to, you could put a little light behind your tree, whatever. That's up to you. When I did it, I didn't want anything. I wanted this tree to really pop out. So I'm going to take my filbert as soon as I find it. Let's see, I got the old paint with bram filbert there. I don't know about that paint with bram guy. It's kind of weird. I'm going to take a little bit of that viridian green. I'm going to take just a tiny touch of white. I'm also going to take just a little bit of sap green. a tiny bit, tiny bit. And I'm gonna put just a little bit of brown in it. I want this to be a dirty, ugly color. I'm gonna show you on my brush what it's pretty dark. Pretty dark. So let me tell you the colors real quick. I have white. I've got just a tiny smidge of Prussian blue out. I've got sap green and viridian green, which phthalo green would be the same, pretty much. Green is a little weaker than phthalo. I've got burnt umber and burnt sienna, and I've got a little bit of cad yellow out. That's the only colors I have out. Yeah, that blue is necessary for this to look right. You want this to be really dark. Look how dark that is. And I'm actually going to just wipe some of it off my brush, because what I want to do with it is I just want to kind of come back in here. And just occasionally on a few of these, I wanted to see a little bit of foliage, maybe. Whatever kind of trees these are, I don't know. And I'm not going to reload that brush. I'm not going to like start pumping color back into it or anything. I'm just going to just kind of tap around here. Pick up a little bit of the brown. It's okay if you pick up a little bit of that. If you don't like that, you can always just kind of wipe your brush off as you're working. But I kind of like to let it mix in there a little bit. It's fine. I'm using the old filbert, and I'm just kind of tapping on here, just saying here and there there's a little bit of a tree showing up, maybe a little bit of light's making it back there. You know, picking up a little bit of the brown. There we go. Just barely touching. And that's kind of why I didn't want to really sock much to this. Back in here. I mean, heck, you could even, a few spots, maybe there's just some trees that you don't even see the trunk back in there. I don't know. It may look weird to you, so don't do it if you don't like it. It's like some of these little ones may just have barely a touch. I don't know. Just wherever. Don't get too crazy like I am. Yeah, that one got a little bright because of the brown, but that's okay. Don't hurt anything. I can always take a little more dark green. And say, okay, I'll cover that one up a little bit. See that? Put a little more viridian back in my color. Same thing there if it got a little bright. And I can always touch those up at the end, but that gives it a little bit of something back there besides it just being a naked forest. And then when we get down in here, I'm not going to do a lot of it yet, but we're going to have little bushes that just live back in here at the base of the forest. And keep your horizon line very low. Again, you could, we're going to work on this area, so I'm just kind of giving everybody an idea of where we're going. If you've never seen anybody crazy paint, and maybe like, I'm not going to watch this guy. This one turns out pretty good every time we do it. Something like that. I didn't mean to mess up my tree trunk there. But you can see I'm just using a tiny little bit of paint. Look, uh-oh, I touched my tree trunk. Oh, heaven forbid. Be loose with it, don't worry about it. It will not hurt. Now that we've got a little bit of detail in the background trees, very little, probably less than I did there even would look better. We'll go back and we'll start finding some other branches out of here. And this is why I didn't want to put too many. I may have put too many, guys, so just be careful with it if you decide to do this one. Sometimes that less is more rule would be good for me to follow. And even here in a little bit, once we do this tree and we put everything back in it and we keep working on the old trunk there, we're going to go back and you might think it's done, and then all of a sudden I'm going to do something else to it. So just make sure your branches down here are a little bit chunkier than the ones at the top. That's the only thing I would really stress out on that one. Make sure. Oh, sometimes trees have little fuzzy things off them. That's pretty good. Again, I got that nice little shape there. So before we move too far, let's go ahead and finish our trunk out. Again, this is just how I paint. You don't have to paint this way. You could do all of these steps probably a little bit more orderly than me, but my mind's a little warped. So I kind of do things as I like to do them. If you're watching along, that's honestly the best way to do it. Find your groove, and don't worry about somebody else's. Want a little bit brighter right in there, maybe here on this edge. It's looking a little too similar. So now, instead of pulling down like I did, even though I like that look, I will usually just kind of grab my knife and just try to get right on that edge and kind of put a little bright spot or two right there. Oh, there we go. That's exactly what I wanted to happen. See that? That kind of comes down through there. I'm barely holding that knife. Look at that. You can probably see it moving in my hand. I'm going to take more white now. And again, just make this pop a little bit better. There. See that? I have a little bit of that reddish brown in it, but we don't really have to focus too much on the top of the tree. We'll put a good bit of foliage up there, so it's not going to be like a spot that's going to stand out a lot. So let's let this tree get thick down in here. Yeah, there we go. And you've got to be happy with it. Remember, it doesn't matter if I'm happy with mine, and then you do it and you hate it. You've got to be happy with these things, guys. You do it your way. If you've got a better way, or you want to paint this with a fan brush maybe, and just kind of tap on the foliage. The bark. That's great too. There's no wrong here. We won't yell at you or anything. Taught a class last night, and everybody did so well. Thought Bobby's paintings last night. Had to use all the Bob stuff. But everything went well. Good class. A lot of good people in there. Fun. I like the backside of this tree. I love that green color that comes out of there. I like it to almost glow. See that? That's really like that. Again, I'm just using that knife kind of loosely. We'll clean up down here. Don't worry if it's looking a little bit odd on you when you start getting down in here. Have a little place for our squirrels to live there. I'm getting on to my squirrels out here. They're starting to eat all my bird food. And another thing I'm getting onto is neighborhood cats. I like cats. I actually used to like cats more than dogs. That's what I had growing up. And then I got dogs that lived inside. And it just changed my whole perspective on things. But, people, here goes a rant. I'll lose some followers now. Cats are not domesticated cats are not natural predators of our wild birds. So keep cats inside. Squirrels can eat my bird food, and I just yell at them because they pig out. When the cats start getting in here and killing my birds, I found a dead cardinal earlier. Well, I found the remains of a dead cardinal. I didn't find all of it. That bothers me. Because again, I like my little animals. I could sit and watch the birds just for hours. I think that's one of the things Steve liked about our back porch here is you can actually, I'm taking some of this dark brown and just kind of filling in the middle a little bit now, just here and there. We could sit out there on the porch and just the birds. We got a little waterfall that you can see from the screen porch, and we could just sit and watch the birds all day. And they love to come and take a little bass in there, but again, I don't want them doing that as much anymore if the dang cats in the neighborhood are going to be out. So I love cats. Domesticated cats shouldn't be outside killing all the birds. I think that's pretty good, guys. Yeah, it looks like a strong old tree. This tree was based on one in our yard that unfortunately we had to cut down soon after I painted it. It was leaning towards the house, and it was very close to the house. I mean, like 6 feet from the house, maybe more, maybe less than that. So we had to kind of make a decision that it wasn't probably a good spot for it. So we said goodbye, and we got other trees to plant back in its place, but not right next to the house. So I'm going to think about this tree now, and then we're going to highlight this guy and see what we can do with it. So I'm going to take a 1-inch brush. You could use a filbert, you could use a fan. There's no wrong answer here. I'm going to take both greens, so I got sap green and viridian green. Pretty much an equal mixture there. And I want this to stay dark. I may even throw just a touch of blue in there. But mostly a sap green, whatever percentage you want to do there. And then use the same amount of viridian, or vice versa. You want to start with viridian and then use sap. That's up to you. And I've got my brush loaded up pretty good here. I'm just going to think about some little foliage on this guy here. And if this is just the dark, so I would almost recommend you kind of play around with the brushes here. An oval, if you have one of those oval brushes, is wonderful for this. I don't, in paint with Bram right now, we don't have any ovals, so we're going to make do with our 1-inch brush. And I may use a filbert a little bit, you never know. Brush has got something sticky on it. Now here's where you run into problems. And it's not a big problem, but it can be. I'm going to load up a good bit of paint. I should grab one of my newer ones. They're a little more flexible than this. This one's been used like 100 paintings. You've got to make sure in any kind of tree that, like if I've got foliage right there, I've got to make sure that some of that foliage carries across that tree or it's going to look really odd. So it may take a little bit of doing here because of all that brown, but let a little bit of that come over that tree. It's got to, guys. And up here, I may just sock a little bit more up here even. There we go. It's kind of hanging out like that. But as I'm using this brush, let me show you a couple more things. You can start like this. You can turn it horizontal or vertical or kind of in between, and that'll get you different shapes as you're working. So let's do one starting with it pretty much vertical. Start, and then maybe I'll roll it and then come back in and tap that out. And that gives me a nice little bit of foliage there that's going to be nice when I start highlighting this. Here we've got one that's kind of hanging down, so we'll just kind of put a little bit on it right there. Again, determine how much you need on yours. And again, we've got to think about some of this foliage. I'm going to go ahead and grab one of my newer ones. That one's needing to be conditioned a little bit. This one's softer. A little bit of this and a little bit of this viridian. That sap green I'm using is super thick, and it's making it difficult to go on that tree. It's an old tube, dried up. Here we go, this is gonna work good. So maybe right in here, think about, there's a little bit right there. It just kind of carries over that tree a little bit. And if I carry a little bit of that brown out, that's okay too. Well, okay too. Maybe it carries across there, I don't know. The thing that is really nice in this one is being able to see the trunk. So the trunk is really pretty in this one. Let me go back and just kind of add to this one a little bit too. I don't want to see the whole trunk. There we go. Now we're starting to get that effect. And watch yourself. I have to watch myself on this if you were to do this one. I'm getting very similar with my strokes. So just say to yourself to kind of mess up that symmetry. You don't want that. Don't want any symmetry. Don't want to be symmetrical for these trees here. Maybe a little bit right there. Maybe a little bit carried. Oh, this one, that's a big old branch. It's a hairy branch right there. Once we highlight it, you'll see it really. And some of the highlights, you don't even have to have a lot of dark for it. Yeah, don't cover up all the trunk. Leave some of that trunk showing through there. Okay, it pays big dividends to have those little pockets and things. And just here, you can just decide if it needs a little more somewhere else. You can go back and just kind of fiddle with it as you need to. I like that top to be pretty full. Yeah. Just looking at it. Well, let's put a little bit of highlighting on there. I'm going to grab another newer brush, a softer brush there. And we'll use a little bit of our cad yellow. That's going to be an odd color, right? Look, put straight cad yellow on there, right? No, don't do that. And you may need just a touch of your linseed oil to kind of thin it down a little bit now. And I want to make kind of a dirty old green, what I'll call it. And you can get that by taking a little bit of your blue, a little bit of your green, and your little bit of white. Just find the color you like. You gotta like it. I keep saying that, but it's true. I mean, if you're just watching me, that's great. But if you're going to paint this, you've got to decide what colors look good to you. Not me. Again, I'm going to use this brush pretty much vertical to do this, and then we'll kind of angle it different ways. There we go. Getting that nice little dirty green. Not too bright, not too too dull. It's kind of in the middle there. And I know I probably should start up here, but I'm going to start right here because I can see the best. I'm just going to start thinking about little pockets of foliage on that tree there. See that? There we go. That may be a little too white. Let's dirty that up a little bit. I may have got a little too much linseed oil too. Now be careful if you use linseed oil. It is very, very thin and very loose, and you may unintentionally kind of get too much, too thin, too quickly. Like I think I did. That's okay. We'll make it work. Just be aware of that though. You see, all I'm doing over here is just kind of working that brush until I get the color I like. Maybe there's a little right there. I don't know. It just kind of almost goes off the canvas over there. See that? And maybe in here. Work a little bit of that in there. A big tree like this is nothing but a bunch of little bushes put together. So if you can do bushes, you can do a big tree and have some really nice foliage on it. Vary those colors, let them kind of be a little bit different each time. And keep your brightest colors on the right side of the tree. As we can see, there is a highlight side here. I'm just using that brush and kind of leaving some of the dark showing. Almost wanted a little more green. You can vary the colors. Hey, this tree is, these cedar trees they'll go through a couple times a year where they'll start dropping some needles. Maybe this old guy said, oh, we'll drop some of these needles, and of course, they'll turn a little bit yellowish. They'll turn quite a bit yellow, actually. Wherever I think it needs a little pocket of light in there. There we go. A little pocket of light. You have to decide though. Okay. I'll keep saying that. Just because a lot of people don't believe me. That's the only thing about teaching classes. People think I know better. I don't. I don't know any better than you guys. I might know how to put the paint on here, but as far as what that paint and where it should go and what it should look like all over the canvas, I don't. I mean, it's just whatever you see is what you put. There is no wrong. If you make a tree that doesn't look quite right, that's okay. Who's determining what your tree should look like? You, or are you worried about what people on the internet say? If you start worrying about that, you're in for some hurt. I always think the internet's probably the best invention ever and the worst, all wrapped into one. And maybe social media too. Maybe the internet's not too bad, it's the stuff that's on the internet, right? The World Wide Web place there, we all go and gather. Alright, maybe just a little bit up here. Again, try to watch those strokes. I have to be careful, and I can already see some that are very similar, so I'll probably mess with them at the end here. Just kind of change them up as you need to. I like that color. I've got a lot of variations going, but mainly, again, I'll say it again, it's white, and then I took some blue and a lot of viridian green and some cad yellow, and just I get the color, and when I get what I like, I use it. Just kind of going on my brush how I want it to, you know. Sometimes I'll go back and I'll find a little pocket that maybe could use a little strengthening right there. I just kind of hang down. There we go. Maybe right there. It's a little bit brighter. And it can come over the tree. It doesn't have to have dark every little section. Dark, you've got to have the dark. You got to say that dark to show the light. But, like right here. Well, I'll wait. I'll save that one for just a second. Actually, I want to see those little marks in there almost. It just kind of gives me that, I know that I'm where I'm wanting to be. I'm going to take a little more blue and go into that color. Same color, so I'm just putting a little blue in there. Because the blue will kind of darken it and cool it down just a little bit. Cool it down just a little bit, maybe a little bit more blue. Because over here is more of the shadows, so I don't want those trees as much highlight over there, so we'll just be careful and use a little bit of that blue at a time until we make sure we like it. Yeah, I like that. And you can even just kind of let those combine a little bit, and that's always a cool thing. A lot of paint in my brush. Look at that. Look how much paint. And this is more just trying to get a little bit more detail to show up in this. And you'll see what will really make this tree pop here in just a second. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Oh, I hit the mic. Don't be hitting your mic. Maybe take a little bit more of the cad yellow and go into my bluish shadow color now. I'm just always varying those colors. As long as I stay pretty much in the same color scheme, you'll be fine. Because sometimes maybe a little bit of light zings over, so that's a little bit brighter than those. And it wherever you want that brightness to be is where it should be and where it should live. Man, that trunk, I love doing these trunks. Let's go try to stand up. I can't see when I'm sitting down. I love my easel and the way it works, but I've got this board a little too high for my new chair that I've had for, what, a year and a half. I've got to adjust it. My eyes are right here if I'm centered, maybe even right there. So anytime you're painting, you want to try to get in the middle of your eyes, or the middle where your eyes hit on the canvas, right in the middle. So I should be looking about right there, but pretty much I'm right about there, with my head pretty much straight, looking straight on. The more you know, that kind of thing. I'm just using my own 1-inch brush. It's working pretty good. I like the shapes it's given me, just kind of vertical, and then rolling it. You can roll the brush like this as you're tapping, or you can roll your arm, roll your wrist. I probably do more of the rolling of my hand and wrist than I do of my arm. See why I said don't worry about too much in the background? You're gonna lose most of it anyway. Won't really matter. Maybe there's a touch right there. Oh yeah. And then I may even, I'll show you here in a minute, may even brighten some of those up over there. A big old full tree is all I know. I don't know if I wanted it this full, but I kind of like it. You know, another good brush to use for this is the fan. You can kind of tap it on there, and it looks really good when you use that. So yeah, let's think about brightening that up a little bit now. We're going from light to dark to light to dark. And I'll use a little bit of linseed again. That linseed will just help thin that paint. Just don't use too much. You could use paint. I don't like using the paint thinner. I mean, you could, but several reasons. One, the biggest one being you might get it too thin. So just be careful if you use the paint thinner. The linseed oil works so good, I don't know why you wouldn't just use it. I'm going to clean that brush. I'm going to go find some lighter color of my brown that I have left. That's just the marble color I was using on the trunk. I'm going to thin that down, and I'm going to actually think about some of these branches coming back through here. Watch how these pop against that dark now. And these trees, if I look at the one out here and we've got another one. We've got 2 more of these cedar trees in our yard. They kind of hang down pretty much just like this. And the foliage just kind of sits on those little branches like that. And then occasionally what I might do here in a minute is just kind of clean that back up. I might give it a little touch. Maybe there's a branch that starts right in the middle of the tree. That'll make the tree kind of look like it's not flat. You're actually looking at something 3-dimensional. And you can vary the colors on this as you go back and do this. You can grab a little more of the red, maybe. Maybe that'd be pretty. I like the red. don't do like me and dip in linseed oil and then dip your brush in paint thinner. I don't know what that's going to cause, but too late now. Probably be fine. Just kind of hanging some of these out back through the foliage. Maybe there's one right here that kind of comes pretty low down on the old tree and just kind of hanging out there. Those are always fun to add. Maybe there's one that starts about right there and it's kind of, oh Lord, it's reaching for the ground. Thirsty little guy. I love trees. I always loved trees, and I think when I started painting, I actually appreciate them more or something. I know that somebody would tell us that that's what to expect, right? And that person is right. You'll start seeing things a little more. Yeah, just kind of socking on a little more detail on these branches in here that you kind of lose when you put your foliage on there. But you don't want it to start looking odd because it's almost there for me. Okay, something like that. Again, I like those that are way down there. We take our brush that we were highlighting with, go back, grab a little bit, and occasionally, like right in that spot right there, maybe just kind of cover that up so I don't see where the branch is originating. Maybe, right here. Again, just what it is, guys. And here's a fun little thing. Remember how we said that's kind of shadowy, this side is, right? Well, what if we said, oh, there's a little bit of light popped over on that side. Oh, goodness. What kind of is that? You might not like that. I don't know that I do. But I wanted to try it. So, always try things. You may find something you really like. Okay. There we go. Oh, great. Heat's coming on. It's going to get loud. So, yeah, let me go turn that off. It's cold here in Tennessee right now. Let me mute this real quick. Alright, had to turn the little heater off. And I don't care if I get cold. I just don't want you guys having to listen. I like that. That's really cool. Now, I'll use this same brush here. And I may just wipe a little bit of the paint out on a paper towel so I don't have too much, okay? I'll show you what we do to finish out the old tree. We gotta work on the bark down here. I just want to think about some little bushy shapes living back in here. They don't have to be perfect. There's nothing really we need to do too much to them. Just something like that. It just adds a little something to the painting. But look, I'm just tapping it on there. No dark underneath. Just something, right? And the other side, I'll probably put a little more blue. You go back to our more blue, cooler feel over here. We've already got some started, so we just kind of, well, there's a nice big old bush right there. Maybe there's one back there. And if you touch a tree, it's okay. We're going to touch it up anyway. There's one right there. I don't know. Maybe there's one right here, and it's kind of in front of everything. Use the boss. There. See? Like literally, there's nothing to that. I can even bounce around a little higher if I need to there. So you don't have like too much going on. Now, let's finish out our trunk with our knife. As soon as I find mine, I'll grab that. And that should work. Grab a little bit of that color, and I want to make sure I clean up this side here. Don't want to. Ooh, I like that red brown coming off. Look at that. And I'll show you a couple of things to do with this. And then you can decide how much you want to keep going. I like this tree to live off the edge of my painting, so just like that. There we go. Something like that. It's a big roots reaching everywhere. It's just having a good old party down there, I guess. Take my knife and just kind of run this out a little bit. Yeah, you don't have to be too worried about these things, guys. Just have at it. I don't know, wherever. Maybe a little bit of this mixes in here. Maybe this side mixes in here. So there's a huge old root flare there. Now, if you wanted to, and probably should, take a little blue and a little bit of brown. Just mix those two together. Mostly brown, so be heavy on the brown and less on the blue. And you can just kind of go back in here and if you lose a little bit of your detail in your trunky area, just kind of put it back in there. Because you want these to be on kind of separate, right? You want them to stay kind of dark too. See that? My hand's still shaky. Yeah, if you don't know, I've been a little sick, so still recovering. I'll get there eventually. Yeah, just put a little bit of dark right there. Yeah, I may have got a little too much blue in mine, but I kind of like it. There we go. There we go. Now, yeah, found me a nice little couple little things here. I was thinking about it, I could have be a little bit brighter in a few spots. I'm just right now. I'm just tapping that on there. Not even trying to let the knife kind of pull in. And you can probably tell that I kind of go back and forth. I don't just tap. Sometimes I'll let it go and then I'll tap. So it kind of depends upon what you see and how you want to do yours. Now we'll take our same old brush here, and I'm going to go to the yellow. Good bit of yellow in here. And I shouldn't have to do anything to this. Watch me say I'll have to come back and grab blue or something. But the dirty brush, and I'm just smashing the brush in there, not doing anything that you guys can't do. I know that. And I'm just going to think about, maybe there's a little bit of, you may touch that tree, that's okay. There's a little bit of a grassy area back in there. And on this side it's going to be quite bright. So. Right, we know it's going to be brighter on one side because we can see from the trunk. It's on like a little hill. Over here we'd have to kind of get a little more of the viridian, or maybe a little bit of blue in there. Cool our grass down a little bit. It's kind of something. Didn't cool it down much, did I? Better cool it down a little more. That's the cool side of the tree. There we go. That'll work. Okay, try to save a little bit of the dark. It'll look better if you do. This painting has a lot of greens and yellows, and it starts looking all the same if you get too much of the same colors going on. And then what I like to do is I'll go ahead and finish the cool side here. I like to finish out the painting by just kind of putting a little bit of grass or maybe moss growing up that tree like that. Isn't that cool? And this is really cool over here. Not cool like, oh man, that's cool. The grass should be cool, so make sure you put enough blue in there. The viridian will also work by itself if you just kind of clean your brush off. Just tap it. Kind of tapping with the angle of the tree. If I grab a little bit of the brown, that's okay. Get a little wider. And I'm just tapping down. There we go. One thing I could do, just kind of, you don't want to see, like I said, patterns, so just kind of fill in here and there, re-tap a little bit more right there maybe. There we go. Now on the other side we go, you can clean your brush, you probably don't need to, just go back to a little more yellow. I've got plenty out. So I'll grab that yellow and I'll come back over here and I'll say, okay, there goes a good bit of that. Look at that coming out. And then as I start working up the tree, you may, on this side, because there's a lot of paint, there's not quite as much paint on that side, you may have to get you just a touch of your linseed oil. That way it doesn't really mix completely with the tree. That one just crawled all the way up in there. Look at that. I don't want to overdo this side though. Need a little more yellow. We don't want them to be both cool, do we? There we go. Something like that, and don't kill the trunk, don't kill the roots of the tree. Now you got pretty good differentiation there. And if I need to finish it out somehow, I can just take a good bit of blue right up in here and just, I don't know, you don't even have to do this. I mean, that could just be like a little spot where the tree critters live. There's something down in there. Maybe just a little touch up on the trunk. And we got this one cranked out, guys. Or a little bit more. I want this one to look like it's almost coming at me. There we go. What I do here is just kind of pull into this a little bit. Mess it up a little bit. There we go. That looks better. Yeah, there we go. Nice cool front side of that tree. There we go. Got it done. Now, is there anything else you could do here to make this look better or have more fun with it? Sure, I can see a couple things. I'll just show you real quick. I'll use more filbert for this. Sometimes you'll lose a little bit of your dark, so you can always just tap a little bit of dark back in if you need to. Right in there maybe. But right in here, I could use a little bit of something at the base of these bushes. Almost put too many over there. I said almost. Bring those forward a little bit. There we go. Yeah, probably wasn't worth it. Let's leave her there. You can tinker with yours all you want. Of course, you know me, I'll probably sit here and tinker with this one after I'm done. There. Okay. Alright, I'm going to take my script liner, clean that baby off, and yeah, we'll use that color right there. We'll say we got an old signature right here somewhere. My name's a-leaning today. Here we go. Oh, wait a minute, you know me. I never know when to leave well enough alone. Shouldn't paint after your signature's on there, but don't break the rules. You all stick trees or something over here. There, maybe there's one over here. These guys are just waiting to grow up like this big tree, even though they're nowhere near like this big tree. These are just Graham's signature sticks in his paintings. And I'll put 3. Something there. That's probably good. We'll get it too busy if we do too much more. Alright, let's see what it looks like. It looks pretty good, guys. Let's get us a straight on view for you guys. Straight on view is a little too shiny. So there's kind of an angled view. Alright guys, thank you for watching, and I'll keep doing these as long as you keep watching. Make sure that if you're just now, and again, if you made it to the end of the video, my goodness, you're probably already subscribed, right? But if you haven't, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share the video. Make sure you give it a like. That helps push it out to more people. Alright guys, take care, and I'll see you again soon.